Morning. Welcome to Love, Sex, and Money. Good to have you back. So today's morning message was very, very interesting. I decided to focus this specific message. I asked for really the guidance on those struggling with money issues, money and debt issues. And so it was quite fascinating, as it always is. So let's just dive right in and get started. So the first thing that became abundantly clear and was really a theme all throughout the reading as I picked the different cards was it was really about attending to your emotional needs. So it was a server of cups. And it was really about there being heart chakra blockages, right? So there was heart chakra blockages, and it was all about healthy emotional issues, like reaching a place of healthy completion with your emotional issues and living the values was healthy living. So there's really a need for, so money is a very, very sensitive issue. It's a very it's a very charged issue. Typically there are a lot of issues around money that people have in their family dynamics growing up. There can be a lot of stress and dysfunctional beliefs around money, and especially for anyone struggling with worthiness issues, self-love, self-worth, self-esteem, that absolutely can translate into blockages in your money because you don't feel worthy enough to receive. And if you don't feel that you're worthy enough to receive, you're blocking it, you're pushing it away. And the way to obviously open that back up is to release the block, um, to to cleanse and release that heart chakra. You've got to get all the blocks out of your heart chakra to know that you're worthy enough to receive the very best that love and life has to offer in every way, financially, health-wise, in love relationships and friendships and family dynamics and everything, right? So self-love, self-worth, self-esteem is absolutely critical to establishing a strong foundation for an abundant lifestyle, because really abundance, right? Abundance isn't just about money. Abundance is about having an abundance of everything that you need, an abundance of love in your life, an abundance of support, an abundance of money, an abundance of health, an abundance of friendship. Abundance is a much wider topic than just money, say like prosperity. It's really an abundance of all the things that you wish for most in your life, that you value and cherish. So healing those emotional blockages, that's pretty much what came up for that, and that was really important. And part of how you'll do that is you need to become very cognizant of the words of affirmation, what you speak, right? So we speak our life into existence, and people don't realize that it is literally how we speak to ourselves and speak out into the universe that really creates the dynamic of our life. We speak our life into existence, and you can speak crappy words of lack and abundance and victimhood, or you can speak joy, gratitude, love and abundance and acceptance. So it's really a matter of what you choose, and the more work that you do on yourself to heal those wounds, heal those issues of self-esteem, self-worth, that you will allow those things to enter into your life. Okay, so moving on, what came up next? So the two cards that came up, and the deck that I'm using, this is actually the Tarot of Transformation that I'm using as the card deck today. I chose to use different card decks rather than the Angel deck and the Goddess decks. So the first one that came up was Temperance, right? So Temperance that's actually Sagittarius is Temperance, right? But integrating polarities. So the balance between the masculine and the feminine, the balancing the good and the bad, the strong and the weak, right? So it's all about balancing life, balancing the polarities in your life so that you're not living in extreme. If you're struggling with money issues, if you're struggling with overspending, with issues of debt, that means that emotionally there's something out of balance. You have not made peace with your relationship with money. You are coming from a place of lack and or dysfunction, or you're using money as a means to to run. So when you get feelings of discomfort, when you're feeling anxious, things like that, you go out and you spend money and you get something. I used to know a woman who used to say, as soon as she finished the, purchase, hit the button, feel purchase, she'd feel like an exhale in her body, and she would automatically just somehow feel better, right? So this shopping was a way to abate her feelings of anxiety. That's what her shopaholic, you know, predilection did for her. It was her way, her vice of coping with her anxiety that would bubble to the surface. And for whatever reason, once she hit send, purchase, whatever, she'd have that feeling of exhale, like, okay, the world's right again. But of course it doesn't last. It only lasts till the next time you feel anxious, and then you go spend something else, and next thing you know, you've got massive credit card debt. Okay, and then the next thing that came up was drama queen, right? So the Seven of Cups. So the Seven of Cups is all about making things bigger than they need to be, creating drama in your life. Drama queen is actually one of the 18 schemas. Typically what people do when they are a drama queen is they have this need to create chaos and drama in their life. Usually it's because their body has been entrained to it. So they probably grew up in a home where they had a drama queen father or mother who was constantly blowing things out of proportion, making things bigger than they had to be, creating a place of chaos and just dysfunction. And so what happens is their person's body becomes entrained to it, the child, and they start to believe that chaos is normal. So for them, when things are actually calm, that triggers feelings of anxiety because that doesn't feel normal to them. No, chaos is normal to them, and that's the way they feel like it should be. Sorry. That's what they feel like it should be, is it should be a chaotic environment, because chaos is normal, and of course that's a reversal, and that's not good. And so you have to retrain your nervous system to be receptive and enjoy and know that peace and calm is actually a good thing. It's not it's not a danger sign. It's something to be welcomed and something to be embraced. So that was good to see that. So again, if we kind of build on what the message came through, it's that if you're struggling with financial issues, and you're struggling with debt issues, overspending, or just a dysfunctional relationship with money in general, the thing that you have to focus on is you have to focus on healing your emotional stability with respect to you feeling safe, grounded, centered, and being able, and not using money as a vice for you to meet your needs, to calm you down and stuff like that. It's really about cultivating a healthy relationship with money. Okay, so what were the cards that came up next in terms of building on this storyline? So you've healed the relationship with money, you're integrating the polarities of good and bad, extremes, walking that balanced state, and you are leveling out that need to have drama. And you know what? If you're constantly, if in terms of that, going back to for 1 second, in terms of the drama queen thing, so if you are perpetually in a state of debt creates an anxiety. It's like this big cloud hanging over your head that keeps you in that perpetual state of stress, fear, worry, and anxiety about that debt, and that keeps that drama queen thing an ever-present thing in your life. Okay, so what came up next? So the next one was the Four of Discs, manifesting home. So this was all about endeavoring to create a home environment, the home within the spiritual vessel of your body, but also the physical environment in which you live in. The outer expression of your home is really is really a reflection of the inner environment of your insides, your emotional state. And so, when you see those episodes of hoarders, that's a severely emotionally stunted individual who's doing that. That hoarding, that like chaos everywhere, that's simply an outer expression of the chaos and the emotional hoarding. They've got all of these emotions that are hoarded up inside of them. They're not being expressed, they're not being healed, they're not being addressed, they're just stuck and stagnant. And so that's an outer expression of that. So in terms of manifesting the home that you want to create an environment. You want your home to be a beautiful environment, a beautiful expression of that which is grounded and centered and organized and peaceful. If you live in a chaotic environment, it just perpetuates itself. So the next one was the Six of Swords, which was structure for the journey, right? And so the structure for the journey was all about creating the structures in your life that support the highest version of yourself and that support the highest vision of the life that you want for yourself. For instance, when I was going through my divorce, it's when it started, and I've carried it through till today. When I was first going through my divorce, it was incredibly traumatic for me. I had just moved out to Arizona. I'd only been here 5 weeks when I moved out to start the separation and divorce. I had no family, I had no friends, I had no income because we had closed our business out in New York. And so I had incredible fear, a paralyzing fear for sure. And it was traumatic. It was very traumatic. And they say, like, the three most traumatic experiences you can go through is a death, a divorce, and a move. And I had a divorce, a move, and the death of my business. It's not the same as a person, but it was, so I had at least two of the three, but there was a certain level of grieving process I was going through, us closing our business and that, kind of that death of that dream that I had of that as well. So anyway, it was a very incredibly traumatic experience for me. But what I had to do to get through it, in terms of what they're talking about, in terms of the structures for the journey, was that it forced me to embrace daily rituals that could help ground me. So every single morning I would get up and I would do 2 to 3 different meditations that would help ground me and center me and help to ease the anxiety that I was feeling, to help get me through it. I would listen to, guided meditation. So I would have these amazing, beautiful messages just pouring into my brain to support me on that. And they really did help. And I was very conscious of, and so that was in terms of supporting me on the day-to-day stuff. But I was also very, very conscious of the fact that I was going through a divorce and that I had deep healing, emotional healing work that I had to do. And so I did that. I was very conscious of engaging with healers. I'm always guided. I follow my intuition, and I'm always guided to exactly which healer I need to work with on a specific issue. But I was very aggressive about working with healers to heal the wounds, to reprogram my subconscious mind, to do all of these things, because I knew they were both important. I needed the daily structure to help me function day to day, but then I also was embracing, deep emotional healing work to support me in my long-term vision of where I wanted to go. So I was balancing both the day-to-day tactical stuff that needed to get done, but also doing the deep, deep work so that long-term I could create the ideal life that I wanted for myself. Okay, so what was the next card? The next card that came up was the Eight of Swords. The Eight of Swords is all about equanimity, and again, it's kind of, they all go together, right? So the establishing the structures of the journey and the equanimity, and going back to the integrating the polarities, right? So the core theme here is about really about creating a life where you have balance, where there's not extremes, where you're taking command of your emotional state, you're learning to be grounded and centered, and you are creating the structures in your life that will keep you consistent, that keep you moving forward, that keep you growing and learning and healing and moving forward, and honoring the different parts of yourself that need to be honored in terms of self-love. Okay, so what was the next cards that came up? The Ten of Swords. The Ten of Swords, leaving the story behind, and reading the web, Master of Swords, which is kind of, this is like the shaman card. So what is that about? So leaving the story behind, again, this is about what I was just saying about when you're doing the deep inner healing work. It's important to look back and understand what each of the scenarios in your life, especially the most traumatic ones, were meant to teach you, right? Because if you don't actually learn the lesson that you were meant to learn, working in a dysfunctional job or being in a dysfunctional relationship, if you don't actually do the work to sit back and reflect on what that relationship was meant to teach you, how it was meant to cultivate your soul, you're not going to get the benefit of what that was supposed to teach you, which means you will have to repeat the lesson, and life will bring you another person or another job that will take it. Not only will it repeat what you did, but more than likely it'll take it up a notch and make it even more traumatic, because you're being stubborn and you're like, the universe is like, not, you're knocking your head against a cement wall. You're not listening, you're not looking up to say, what do I need to do differently? What do I need to learn? So the universe has to ratchet up the lesson because you're not listening, right? So if you're not listening and you're not learning, then the only way the universe is going to get through to you, God is going to get through to you, is by ratcheting it up, making it more severe, taking it up to another level of intensity, because you're not paying attention. And so the universe has to get your attention, and the way they get your attention is by making it more painful, more intense, more extreme, making the betrayal bigger, making the pain and the anguish exponentially worse. And it's because you're not learning. You're not learning and you're not course correcting. So, if you want to stop the pain and you want to move on quicker, then be very aggressive about, what am I supposed to learn here? And dissect that relationship, dissect that job, dissect the patterns, and figure out, extract all the knowledge you need to do so you can move on to the next level, because it's just unintelligent to keep banging your head against the wall. Okay, so what were the next cards? So the next three cards came from actually the Venetian Tarot deck, which I absolutely love. It's a really beautiful deck, these tiny little cards. So it was, the Knave came up first, the Knave of Cups, Two of Cups, and then the Queen of Swords, Queen of Swords, and the Strength card. So what really for me, in terms of how I was interpreting this, in terms of in terms of the other messages, Two of Cups, it's about finding love, all of this stuff, like I always say, love, sex, and money are completely, they're interrelated. One affects the other. As you start to heal and embrace a higher level of self-love, you learn to open up your heart walls, have a healthy, balanced relationship with money. All of the other things, like the more you embody the higher vibration, healthy vibrations of living a balanced life, the more energy then you have to attract that like healthy love into your life, right? When you're living in chaos, you'll attract chaos. When you're living in a place of like health and balance, you'll attract health and balance. Now the Queen of Swords, goes, for me, how I interpreted it in this reading based on everything that had come out before was, the Queen of Swords is about being discerning enough to know, like, okay, if I want healthy stuff in my life, then I have to have the ability to, take that sword and cut anyone or anything out of my life that is toxic, dysfunctional, or brings me back into that whirlwind of the drama queen, right? So if you've been in the pattern of being a drama queen and attracting drama kings into your life, or queens into your life, then that Queen of Swords is the message of that you need to be discerning, and you need to be able to cut toxic people or situations off as quickly as possible so that you don't lose ground, right? You don't want to go backwards. If you're putting in all this effort to heal and grow and expand yourself, and yet you're going to continue to allow new people to come in and take you off your game, that's not a good thing, right? Because the universe will test you, right? So, it's kind of like you say, okay, I want something different. Then they're going to send you exactly what you've had and say, are you going to go there again? Are you going to repeat this lesson? Or are you going to be wise enough to say, I see this for what it is and I'm choosing differently? That's what growth is. Growth and healing is seeing what you wouldn't have seen in the past and saying, I choose differently this time. And then the last card was about the Strength card. And, all of this takes strength. It takes strength to go in and do emotional healing work. It takes strength to enforce the discipline that self-love requires in terms of doing the daily work, doing the meditations, doing the healing work, doing the intellectual evaluation of the patterns that you've been engaging in that are self-destructive. That takes strength. It's not easy. Healing work is messy, and and it's really about moving through to that next phase of it being more beautiful and inviting in a way to heal, grow, and love from a place of like higher consciousness of having those lessons be come through in a way that is more loving, right? So in the past, this whole spread was all about that was all about chaos, and so now what you want to do is you want to embody the strength to be able to transcend that next layer where you don't need this anymore in your life and you're ready for a higher level of living in every area of your life. And the reason I know that is because the last card that came up was Tantric Sexuality. So Tantric Sex is all about merging the sexual and the spiritual, which is, absolutely phenomenal. It's beautiful. It's an amazing expression. Merging your sexuality and your spirituality. It's about learning to be completely present with your partner and making the act of sex to be a sacred experience, a sacred spiritual experience together. Sacred sexuality can be deeply, deeply healing in terms of each partner being able to when you're connected to the person that you love and you have the ability to send them unconditional love and flood their body with this purest vibration of unconditional love, it can be deeply healing, and it is deeply spiritual, and it is a truly sacred experience, one in which I hope everyone on earth is able to experience at some point in their life. So anyway, that was today's reading. I hope you found value, and I look forward to speaking with you again soon. Take care. Have a good day. Bye.